use the VOTA formula and deliver the 3 C's. In this video episode, I'm going to address how to author a best-selling book in less than 40 hours of your time. This is secret number 2 of 8 secrets that I'm revealing in this series. Now, get ready. I want you to take meticulous notes, because I'm sharing with you what I have invested over $3 million to learn in my life, and I'm 70 years old, and I don't want to go to my grave without having the wisdom that I've gained shared with as many other would-be authors as possible. So I'm Doug Andrew, and I've actually been able to author 12 books thus far. I'm working on my 13th book, and I've learned a lot of lessons writing these books. All of them, I've been very blessed, have become bestsellers. And so if you don't know my background, my first book, it took me 10 years to write. And I finally got it self-published, and I published 500 copies. And many people said, I published my own book and printed 500. I still have 460 of them in my garage 10 years later. Well, I knew I had an audience for my book, and I was using my book to educate my clients and my prospects. So I wanted to write my book, not just for my clients, but that CPAs, tax attorneys, other financial advisors would pass out my book to their clients, because it would explain things that they couldn't explain very well. And a lot of people didn't really believe that would work, but I went through the first 500 in one day. At an event in Nashville, Tennessee. So then I printed the next edition, 2,500 copies, and I went through those in about 45 days, and then I printed 5,000, and pretty soon I was going through 5,000 a month, and it got the attention of Time Warner, and so they became my publisher, and they commissioned me to write my next book, which I wrote in 1 year. They gave me a $100,000 advance for that one. The next one, because of the success, we went through $500,000 of that second book. They gave me $1 million advance to write my third book. Now, this video is not about me. This is about you, but I want you to know I've learned, and I don't want you to have to go through the long learning curve that it took me. So this second secret is how to use what is called the VOTA formula. VOTA, I learned from my coach, Dan Sullivan, and he's also responsible for these 3 C's that I'm going to illustrate for you, because this is very powerful, what I'm about to share with you. And so in every one of my books, if you read them, you'll see these formulas implemented directly or indirectly, because these work, okay? So let's dive into what I mean by VOTA. When you write a book or you give a talk or anything like that, because if you're going to be an author, get ready if it's successful, because you're going to go out and be asked to speak. In fact, most authors, they write a book first, and then they get invited to be a speaker. Mine was sort of reversed. I was a speaker, teacher, lecturer, and then I became an author, okay? But you will likely need to talk about your book, and the formulas are the same when you're delivering things verbally. So here we go. This is how to apply the VOTA formula to develop the perfect outline for your book. So secret number 1 talks about the questions that you need to answer. This secret number 2 talks about this VOTA formula for the book. Now, the first in this acronym that spells VOTA, the V stands for vision. So you need to get super clear in your mind the vision, not only that you have of what you're communicating in this book, but the vision you want the reader to catch, okay? You have to get super clear on the vision, the brighter future, that if they read this book, that they can see the darkness of the night, so to speak, if they keep living life the way they're living it. And then they need to see the brightness of the day or the future. They need to see a contrast between the darkness of the night if they keep living life the way they're living it, and the brightness of the day, their future, if they will change their ways and follow your recommendations. So I'm talking about nonfiction. My books are nonfiction. You can even apply this formula somewhat to a fictional book if you would like. So the vision is helping people get clear on, okay, if I read this book, this is how much healthier I will. I will lose weight. I will be financially independent. I'll have energy. Whatever it is that you're writing the book about, people need to have a clear vision from the title, the subtitle, from flipping through the table of contents, and especially through the actual content of the brightness of the day, the future that they can have compared to where they are now, how they're going to get from point A to point B and paint that vision. Does that make sense? Okay. The O in VOTA means obstacles. So you have to identify the obstacles. I usually do this pretty thoroughly in the first chapter or two. So you identify the obstacles, the barriers, the roadblocks, the hindrances that stand in the way for most people to overcome in order to achieve that vision, okay? So you're saying, here's the vision. You want to lose weight, you want to be healthy, you want to be financially independent. Here are the obstacles that stand in the way. People have too much left at the end of their money. They don't know how to discipline themselves. They're too much in debt. They don't earn enough money. They don't understand how money works. Or if it's about health, they're not disciplined with their eating or the portions that they eat or what have you, or the lack of motivation to exercise or what have you. So it's the obstacles that cause people to not achieve this vision that you're going to help them overcome in that book. Does that make sense? So that's obstacles. The T stands for the transformation. This is the transformation that will take place, and you're going to clearly identify as you take them on this journey. If they read this book, their lives will transform, and they're going to have an incredible future. This vision that you have painted, but it's going to be an evolutionary process. It's going to be a transformation because people appreciate most a meaningful transformation. If all they're doing is getting entertained or whatever, and by reading your book, no, they're going to put it down. But if every time as they read a chapter, they're beginning to see a transformation in their thinking, in their implementation of the concepts, and they see themselves losing weight or eating better or making better choices or saving money, that's the transformation that you're outlining. The final is the A, and that's the action. You must give them clear steps, action steps. People want clarity on, okay, in order to achieve this vision and overcome these obstacles and experience this transformation, what do I need to do? What's step number 1, step number 2, step number 3? The action steps they need to take has to be super clear, the action that you're asking them to take, and they need to have the idea, I can do this, okay? It can't be esoteric. They need to feel like, I can do this. If you do not give the reader that power, then they're going to put the book down, okay? So that's called VOTA. You must have that VOTA clear throughout the entire book, whether they're flipping through it in a bookstore or reviewing it online or what have you. Now, the other formula I attribute to Dan Sullivan, and this is because people are being constantly bombarded with a lot of conflicting information. Because of constant global change in, let's say, the scientific, technological, economic, political, social, and cultural arenas, people are constantly getting confused. They have this loss of context, individuals and consumers, because politicians are doing things that affect the economy, and they've never run a candy store before. And so there are these conflicts between economics and politics and their agendas. and scientific things that say, well, this is really not the way it is. You've been told that there's this or global warming or whatever, and actually the truth might be this or that. And so you have all these conflicts between cultural agendas, social agendas, scientific agendas, technological, economic, and political, and people feel confused. So because of this constant global change, you will have never-ending audiences for what you can share with people. So because of that loss of context, people, and this has been true since the beginning of time, they have confusion. They feel isolated in their particular set of circumstances, and they feel powerless. This is not new. This has been going on for millennia. So whether your audience is baby boomers, or whether it's single women, or whether it's young college graduates who thought they went to college to get a job. No, you went to college to get an education. You're not going to be guaranteed a job, but they feel entitled and so forth. So I've written a lot of books because these people out there, these demographics, whoever your audience is, they feel confused, isolated, and powerless. And so once you get that super clear on why are they feeling confused, isolated, and powerless, you need to deliver 3 C's in your book. And they need to be able to see these 3 C's, okay? You need to give them clarity. Direction. When they read your book, you're going to give them clarity or direction so they will no longer feel confused. You will give them confidence, okay, in a brighter future, so they no longer feel isolated in their particular set of circumstances. Well, I'm not healthy enough, I'm too old, or whatever. You got to take away their excuses and give them confidence that they can do this and they're not isolated. And then you want to empower them, because they feel powerless, with new capability. So those are the 3 C's. You want to deliver clarity, confidence, and capability. How do you do that? In a book, or whether you're speaking, you do that with LRC. The L stands for leadership. You have got to lead from the front. You have got to walk your talk. You have got to be believable. You must share your experience and lead so that they know you're a leader, you're an authority. Hello, that's what author means. Author is an authority. You are giving them leadership to give them new direction and clarity so they no longer feel confused after they've read your book. You are developing a relationship with the reader. One of the secrets that I learned in my very first book is the editor says, wow, I love the way you write. It's in a conversational tone. That's because I dictated it as if I was sitting across the sofa talking to somebody about this particular myth conception about money. My first book was called Misfortune, because of the fortunes people miss out on when they simply don't know what they don't know due to money myth conceptions. And so I just acted like I was sitting across the sofa and in a conversation. You're having a conversation with the reader. You're not condescending lecturing. You're having a conversation. And that will help you develop a relationship. That gives people confidence, and they will no longer feel isolated. They feel like, oh, I'm not the only one, and the author understands me, okay? They need to feel like they're being understood. And then the last is creativity. You want to use creativity because people learn differently. Some are right brain thinkers, others are left brain thinkers. So you need to use right brain, left brain. You need to teach in your books high concepts, that's the left brain, coupled with high touch. So you're teaching a concept and using facts and percentages, and then you're applying it by using actual stories and examples and metaphors so that they will get it, okay? So let me give you an example of this formula, because any great person that has walked on planet Earth has usually had this formula, whether they were cognizant of it or not. Whether it was Edison or Gandhi. I'm Christian, so let's use Christ. See, Christ, as I study in the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, he was able to deliver these 3 C's, clarity, confidence, and capability, by using LRC. He was able to provide leadership to an audience of 1 or 5,000 on a hillside. They got super clear. They got new direction. They saw the darkness of the night if they kept living life the way they were living it, and then the brightness of their future if they would change their ways and do what he said. So he cleared up their confusion. He developed relationships better than anybody I've studied. And he gave them faith and confidence in a brighter future, that their future was spotless, no matter what they had done in the past, okay? And so they no longer felt isolated in their set of circumstances, no matter whether they're rich or poor or whatever. And he used creativity. He taught them at their level of understanding with stories, parables, and metaphors, so they would get it at their level of understanding. Then they felt empowered and they felt capable. I can do this. I can implement this idea. And so he used this formula better than anybody I've studied, and that's just an example. So this is the overriding formula. You'll actually see it very clearly in my New York Times Wall Street Journal best-selling book, because I outline it. I think right in the second chapter, I go through this formula, okay? Now, if you want to see this in action, I would love to gift you a copy of one of my books. This one, Entitlement Abolition, you'll see how I use these formulas. You can go to entitlementabolitionbook.com and you contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling, and I'll pay for the book and fire out a complimentary copy to you. One of my favorite financial bestsellers is called The Laser Fund, which is the right brain, left brain, high concepts coupled with high touch. This side is about 200 pages, 14 chapters with all the charts and graphs for the left brain reader. There are some stories interwoven in there, but if they want to just cut to the stories, you flip the book over and read this one. This is 100 pages, 12 chapters with 62 chicken soup for the financial soul stories. If you want to use your whole brain, you can read both of these. But you can go to LaserFund, LaserFund.com, and contribute a nominal amount towards the shipping and handling. And I'll fire out a complimentary copy of that book to you. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, I wrote a book called The 10 Keys Transformation. This is a sum total of over $3 million that I've invested in my life, sharpening my saw, that turned into over $100 million of revenue. If you want to simplify your life and 10 times your income as an entrepreneur, download a free copy of this digital book. It's free, 10keysbook.com. Again, you contribute a small amount towards the processing and enjoy that book. You will see these formulas directly or indirectly woven throughout all of my books. So that is secret number 2 of 8. Use the VOTA formula: vision, obstacles, transformation, action. And then what do? You must get clear in your mind. Why are your readers of your book feeling confused, isolated, and powerless? How are you going to deliver clarity, confidence, and capability, those 3 C's, by mustering up as much LRC, leadership, relationship, and creativity, to clear up that confusion? Does that make sense? So here is to your brighter future as an author.